We have a couple housekeeping items, and then we will go right into it to go into the conversations and letting you guys actually get introduced to the candidates. So there are restrooms available if you want to go right out these doors down the hallway to the left. That's always very important. Please feel free if you have a need. But the evening tonight is going to be, each candidate is going to be drawn out of a bucket because that's what we had. I tried to use my hat, but it was just too big. We have each name in there. We're going to draw it out. Everybody's going to get 5 minutes to kind of tell about who they are, why they're here, and why they want to serve us in the community. So once again, thank you all for being here tonight. But first, I would love if everyone would join me. Take a look at the flag. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance because that's what I've always done when I'm in a school, when we come to a gathering. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So just in case no one knows me, my name's Adam Blevins. I work with the Chamber. I'm very happy to be here, very happy to be a part of such a lovely group of people who are pushing for the community of businesses here in Brookville and everything we get to do for everybody here. So we're happy that we're able to do this. So we're going to get this started. Once again, thanks to the candidates for being here. So if you guys are ready, I will draw the first name. And I'm not sure who it's going to be yet. And we're going to have Kurt Schreier first. That's a good point. One more bit of housekeeping that I never remember because I'm just as bad as anybody. If you do have cell phones, which everyone will, please put those on silent just to give all the candidates proper respect.
So, luck of the draw, I get to go first. So, hello everyone. Thank you all for attending, and thanks for all the organizers of this event. My name is Kurt Schreier, and I'm seeking a Brookville City Council position. This introduction is intended for you to get to know me a little bit. I'm not going to cover a lot about an agenda, but just a little bit about me. I've been a Brookville resident most of my life, and graduated from Brookville High School in 1981. My wife also graduated from Brookville High School. I won't say what year. I attended the University of Dayton and stayed in the area. I've always enjoyed living here, and most of my family is also here. Jan and I raised our kids here, and they both graduated from Brookville High School, and then went on to Ohio State University. The Ohio State University. Having recently built a house here, I am committed to staying here for the long haul. I've seen Brookville grow from a village to a small city and want to maintain a small town atmosphere, but strive for controlled growth. I hear so many people say how they like Brookville and what it has to offer. Our schools are so highly rated and the facilities are amazing. And the park system has a lot to offer, and we have great events there. My working career started at Good Samaritan Hospital, and then I took a position with the Iams Company, again pretty close to home out in Lewisburg. Through many changes and being acquired by Procter & Gamble, I was able to take on more and more responsibility. Those responsibilities including leading people, leading projects, and managing budgets. I was very involved in several expansions and construction projects. Being an R&D section manager required me to interact with scientists, engineers, plant personnel, maintenance, and many others. After 22 years, I retired from Procter & Gamble. And after my 1-month retirement, I did some consulting work, and then 4 years ago, I took a position in quality assurance at Adair Pharmaceuticals in Vandalia. I was fortunate to take advantage of some opportunities, and I am now the section manager for the Quality Control Department. I have been attending council meetings on a regular basis for the last couple of years and also interviewed last year for the open council position. Though I wasn't selected for council, I expressed my interest in the open planning commission position. I felt that position would allow me to understand additional parts of the city government and also get to know more of the members of council better. And I've enjoyed that role on the planning commission. I know many people in Brookville and also know many of the present and past council members and city personnel. If elected, I would like to improve the overall attitude of the entire community towards government and also work to make decisions in the best interest of the community. At first, I would need to take some time in the position to really understand where things are and actually read up on a lot of the materials we don't always see as citizens. And then find out what we may need to be done, what may need done differently. That also involves talking to people and finding out what the issues are with them. I'm a logical thinker that wants to mull things over a little bit before I make a decision. I don't tend to make snap decisions. I also strive to stay on an even keel emotionally and not let that influence me. I'm not saying all decisions will be popular, as there are always tough calls to make on both things personally and professionally. When tough calls do need made, sharing why you made that decision will help with the attitude towards the decision. If there are projects that are needed and funding is required, I have found most of the time people step up if they have a stake in it and believe in it. I've interacted with many people in my past roles, whether it was coach, mentor, manager, professional advisor, or whatever it happened to be, and people trust my judgment. However, I'm not saying I haven't made mistakes, but tried to learn from them. I recently saw a good quote that said, "I don't fail, I learn." Recently, the Planning Commission had made some decisions that drew some strong concerns from the citizens. We had looked at the rules too literally and decided to step back and rethink things. I feel what we recommended now is more flexible but still manageable. I will do my best to do what's right and listen to various points of view. I encourage everyone to get out and vote for whatever candidate you feel will serve you best. Thank you very much.
Sharon Henry.
Oops. It's being stubborn. I'm sorry, I'm short.
You're not the only one.
This doesn't go against my time, does it?
It does not.
That's right.
Thank you. I will say the same thing that Kurt said. Thank you all for coming. It's very important that we all listen to what everyone has to say to make a controlled and a wonderful vote, so you know exactly which way you want to go. My name is Sharon Henry, and I'm also a candidate for Brookville City Council. I have lived in Brookville for over 26 years and have been extremely active in the community. I've been very active in the Brookville Community Theater, where I have been an actor and a director. I have volunteered at hundreds of events with my husband of 50 years, Larry, who is our past superintendent of schools. I am a mother of 3 sons, and I have 9 grandchildren. I recently retired from Wright State University, Department of Psychiatry, and I was the administrative program coordinator for psychiatry residents. I help guide them through their residency training program. I'm a problem solver, and that's exactly what we need on council. After I retired, I wanted to give back to my wonderful community and was appointed to our city council after a seat was vacated mid-term. Over the past 2 years, City Council has accomplished much to improve our public safety and our quality of life by working cooperatively with each other on council. Most of our votes on council have been unanimous because we all believe in and agree on the direction the city is going. Working together, we have been able to make major improvements to our community, which were not possible during the recession. In just over 2.5 years, council and staff have brought in over $1 million in grant money for the betterment of our community, including improvements to our sewer plant, repaving our roads, and major improvements to our parks. We have done more planning in the past 2 years than in the previous decade. We now have 5-year capital plans for the police, fire, and our sewer plant. Our water modeling study has identified the need for major improvements to an aging water system which suffers from deferred maintenance as a result of the recession. The construction of Parker Avenue, or Sakura Drive, was completed with grant money, which led to the expansion of Green Tokai, our largest employer, which created more jobs for our community. We identified and resolved a water issue for one of our major employers. This creative and timely response by city staff and our engineers was instrumental in retaining the Brookville employer and even added more new jobs. We began the fire station construction thanks to a very competitive bond issuance, and our Market Street extension makes our city center loop accessible to all and provides opportunities for new businesses. New pop-up retail stores are revitalizing our downtown. Council has begun the process of reinvesting in our infrastructure, which is the foundation for attracting new businesses and services to our community. This reinvestment will keep our community sustainable and will also protect our property values. Council and staff are reworking city ordinances to bring them into the 21st century. We want to protect our quality of life and still be a business-friendly community. During my tenure the last 2 years on council, the city has focused and dedicated to government transparency. We have made great strides in this regard. For over 2 years now, the city's checkbook and spending and every check that we have written is on the city website for all to see. The city website has been updated and is more interactive. All council and committee agendas and minutes are on the city website for review by the public. All department head reports are on the city website for review. All council and committee meetings are open to the public. All public hearings are open to the community. All budget workshops, including the final passage of the budget, are public meetings with residents encouraged to attend. I welcome your thoughts and your questions. I just want you to know that I am so very truly passionate about our city, and I'm going to ask for your vote so that we can keep Brookville moving in the right direction. Working together, we can make Brookville an even better place to live and to work. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dave Ford.
Good evening. I'd first like to start off with just a little bit of background about me. Most of you know me, but there are some new faces out there that I have not had the pleasure of meeting. I was privileged to serve a 28-and-a-half career in law enforcement at the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, where I was promoted through the ranks. I was elected in 2000 to serve as your sheriff, where I'd administered a $56 million budget and over 490 employees. I also had 3 police contracts with Jefferson, Harrison, and Washington townships, one of the richest, one of the poorest, and a medium-sized, economically township police department. So I have a very good integral knowledge of how townships work, how the funding mechanisms or challenges for them, and was able to successfully move those departments forward too. Upon my election in 2013, I instituted a program to modernize our police department. We were operating on policies and procedures that were some 10 to 15 years old. We were able to become one of the first police departments in the state of Ohio to receive certification with full compliance from the Ohio Collaborative Law Enforcement Agency. And basically what it was, by updating our policies, particularly those with, that pertain to use of force. This is when there was a lot of the Black Lives Movement actions and all these video recordings of police officers shooting people that were deemed inappropriate by some facets of the population before the facts were known. We took it upon ourselves to make sure that we were not subject to any of that type of scrutiny, because we updated our policies, went through much better training, and also equipment upgrades. In 2014, I was part of a team that initiated a collaboration for an economic study for Clay Township. An organization came in and looked at our township and decided or studied what was feasible for our area and what could work and what couldn't work. One of the things that was addressed in that study, and one of the reasons that I ran for trustee, was to redevelop or realign that stretch of 49 between State Route 40 and Interstate 70. I think everybody sitting in here probably knows somebody who was involved in an accident, possibly one of the fatals, one of the serious accidents that have occurred over the years on that stretch of highway. After 4 years of working with ODOT, I finally was able to come up, or they came up with a redesign that was satisfactory to us. So we have funding for that that'll begin in 2019 that will completely realign that whole intersection and all the way up to Pleasant Plain at this point. We are trying to get them to take it up to 40 because it's necessary. So in the future, you won't have cars coming off the highway or going on the highway at 60 miles an hour. I'm sure jumping those 4 lanes of highway has been a challenge for a lot of folks. I ran into many people on the campaign trail that told me the same story I did with my kids. None of my kids were allowed to go through that intersection. They had to go around the Diamond Mill and meander that way. I also worked on grant funding for 3 emergency notification sirens that we partnered with the city of Clayton, the village of Brookville, the village of Phillipsburg, and then we put one up at our location to reach the folks out in the community, out in our township, that don't have that same luxury that the folks in Phillipsburg and Brookville have. Our own trustee, Steve Wolf, was a victim of a tornado that hit his house very quick and was unable to have those sirens. So that's one of the things that we're definitely trying to work on and move forward with. I've also worked to secure over $900,000 for public works that have realigned and repaved and rebuilt Pansy and Pleasant Plain roads. If I'm elected again, there's a couple things that I think that I'd really like to see done. Number one is expand our sirens into the north and to the west of the township where those areas have no protection. Also to see the completion of State Route 49. I think that's paramount to our JED area, which is our Joint Economic Development area. We don't have a conduit of traffic flow in there that allows for easy ingress and egress from those businesses. So I think this is a very big thing. Lastly, I'd like to thank the board or the chamber for having us, and I'd also like to give salutations to the candidates who are running. It takes courage to get out here and run a campaign. These are the people who want to be the leaders in the community, and they really have my respect, because a lot of folks don't know what it takes to put your lives on hold for 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks to go out here and run and go ask people for your vote and put your ideas out there. Thank you.
Sheila Stanford.
Good evening. My name is Sheila Stanifer. I'm currently one of the township trustees at Perry Township. And for those of you that maybe don't know the boundaries of Perry Township, it's Diamond Mill, 35, Preble County Line Road, and Westbrook, 36 square miles. And it's a privilege to be here. I desire to serve my community, and I believe I have the administrative experience to do that effectively. My family and I love Perry Township with its beautiful residential community combined with its open working farmland, and we would like to see it stay that way. I reside with my family on a small working farm in Perry Township. I raised 5 children there. I'm a homeschool mom. And I raised 5 of my children there, and the youngest one was actually, we conceived her here in Perry Township, so we've been here 18 years altogether. I graduated with honors from Kettering College with a degree in nursing, and I was a recipient of the Excellence in Service to Humankind Award. I have 11 years of cumulative experience as a both private and public sector manager. And I was a director at a charitable organization, actually it's United Cerebral Palsy's county-wide program, where I served as a director over disabled attendant care services, which was actually funded through a levy. So I actually managed the monies that went to serve those disabled individuals. I have over 12 years of advisory council experience, both at a state level and a county level. I served as an advisor to Governor Voinovich, representing Ohio Family Alliance. We were exposing a lot of the really bad sex ed programs and a lot of the undermining of parental authority. We were exposing a lot of that. It has been a great honor to serve the residents of Perry Township in the capacity of trustee for the last 4 years. I'm very, very privileged to have been in this position for the last 4 years. It's very humbling, and it's an honor that we need to take with, very seriously, because it's you that we represent. I gained a lot of experience over the last 4 years in office, both engaging with the residents and the various agencies in the county. The most important aspect of a good governance is not to forget God, and any decision that is not prayed about is a bad one. I believe that God governs the affairs of man, and it's not wise to ignore his word as counsel as to how we should conduct our affairs and our behavior. In Romans 13, it says that there is no authority except from God, and those that are established by him. So I'm a Christian first, and I'm a conservative second, and this is a nonpartisan position. But I think it's important to stand up for what you believe in. And I'm a mom, I guess, after being a Christian, and then a township trustee. While I've been in office, I served to facilitate negotiations for fire and EMS services for Perry Township. I also developed a fact sheet on farmland preservation program in order to help the farmers protect their development rights. I initiated collaboration on a grant to offset emergency services cost, with Perry Township collaborated with the city of Brookville and Clay for a grant that we were awarded of $160,000. The combined townships going into that application were awarded that. I facilitated the negotiation for obtaining the best prices and services for waste disposal. And I also initiated a application for a community block grant, which we were actually approved for $64,000 for capital improvement, so that we can improve the sidewalks and the handicap ramps so that our disabled vets and disabled individuals could actually come in to vote, because right now they have to go around the long way. So that's in the works, so that's a very positive thing. Solutions to local and state crisis. I worked with state and local officials to remedy the current agricultural use value, which is the tax formula with the goal of reduced taxes. So that affects the farmers. That formula went kind of haywire and needs to be adjusted. There's still problems with it. I'm an Ohio Township Leadership Academy graduate as well, and I believe in local governance at the grassroots level. I served as president with West Regional Council of Governments, and I also... Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate your vote, and I will continue to serve you with honor and integrity. Thank you.
James Zimmerman.
Good evening, residents and fellow candidates. My name is James Zimmerman, and I'm running for Brookville City Council. First, I want to say thank you to the Chamber and its volunteers for putting together this event, as well as the Brookville School District and staff for their willingness to host the candidates. Tonight, I'd like to spend a few minutes to share with you why I decided to run for City Council. My wife and I decided to make Brookville our home by chance nearly 10 years ago. We felt this small but vibrant community was a perfect place to raise our family. Excellent schools, beautiful parks, reasonably priced housing, and low taxes were just a few of the traits that not only attracted my family, but many others of whom I've had the pleasure to call my neighbors and friends. For the majority of time I've lived in Brookville, I never felt I needed to attend a city council meeting. Honestly, I never felt like I needed to. I felt like the leadership was strong and the city services exceptional. In June of 2016, that all changed with the emergency passage of the income tax credit reduction. Not only do I feel the City Council abused their authority with its passage, they did so knowingly and purposefully. Despite the outpouring of resident opposition, June 8th, 2016 was the day I went from being a quiet citizen to determined to give the citizens of Brookville a voice. Following the passage of the income tax credit reduction, I discovered many fellow residents who felt the same way I did, many of whom I had never met before, but I can now call my friends. Together we formed the Brookville Citizens Group. Together we were able to place 2 charter amendments and the income tax credit reduction on the ballot for the citizens of Brookville to decide. Not surprisingly, they all passed with nearly 80% of the vote in favor of our initiatives. Not once, but in 2 separate elections. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't due to low voter turnout, as some might lead you to believe. Our group's successes and the failures of the police and street levies in May of 2017 was a message. It was a message to council that the residents of Brookville are taxed out. It was a message to council that residents are not happy with the direction and communication coming from council. So why am I running? What do I hope to accomplish? I'm running for city council because I want to improve transparency between the city and its residents. I want to see council meeting agendas posted online more than 24 hours before the meeting. I want city council materials, including ordinances being discussed and voted on, be made available to citizens online well before the council meeting. If it wasn't for the Brookville Star, most residents wouldn't have even had known about the emergency passage of the income tax credit reduction or other council actions. I will be pushing for a citizen-led, not council-led, city charter review. There are many elements of the city charter that are outdated and need revision. I have listened to many citizens express discontent with the volume of actions being passed as an emergency by City Council. I want to see the city conduct a comprehensive citizen satisfaction survey. There's no better way to engage residents and to understand what you really want out of your government and provide an opportunity for you to evaluate city leadership on their performance. I also want to see a comprehensive capital improvements plan covering all city departments that is reviewed and updated annually. For the last few years, I have seen a lot of spending with really no plan in place. The city has begun to pull together the pieces of a plan, but there's still not an all-inclusive document that has been communicated to you, the residents. In closing, I'd just like to say that I'm not interested in making Brookville the next Centerville, Springboro, or Huber Heights. My focus is keeping Brookville a small, close-knit, and affordable community that attracts new residents and continues to support and foster locally owned businesses. I believe high-dollar projects such as the Market Street expansion and the new fire station have left many residents jaded. City Council must be increasingly prudent in how it spends our taxpayer dollars. I do believe we need growth, but it must be measured and proportional to what the community can bear. On November 7th, with your vote, I ask you to help me keep Brookville affordable and help me keep Brookville, Brookville. Thank you.
Dale Winter.
Good evening. My name is Dale Winter, and I'm running for re-election to the position of Clay Township Trustee. I'd like to begin by thanking the Brookville Area Chamber of Commerce for the work that went into this evening's program and making this event possible. I'd also like to thank each and every one of you for taking part in this evening's activities. We all have busy schedules, the weather's not real cooperative today, but the fact that you're here wanting to learn more about the candidates is very important. My wife Denise and I chose to settle in Brookville in 1996 after I received a position as the Brookville FFA chapter advisor and agricultural education instructor here at Brookville High School. We quickly realized that the Brookville area and Clay Township was an area that we wanted to raise our family. We have 3 children, Deanna, Derek, and Danielle. Deanna recently graduated from Brookville High School and is studying nursing at Kettering College. My son Derek is at the Miami Valley CTC in the precision machining program, and my youngest, Danielle, is a 7th grader here at the Brookville Intermediate School. My wife and I consider ourselves very fortunate to be able to raise our children in Clay Township and to have them a part of the Brookville school system. Our children have also come to appreciate the rural lifestyle, small community atmosphere that Clay Township and surrounding communities offer. After serving as the agricultural education teacher and FFA advisor here at Brookville for some 10 years, I accepted a position as the building principal at the Miami Valley CTC and have served in that role for the past 12 years. My teaching here at Brookville as the FFA chapter advisor and agricultural education instructor were some of the most enjoyable and rewarding years of my career. In 2015, I was appointed to the Clay Township Board of Trustees to fill the position vacated by the passing of Robin Lehman. I later ran and was successful in my election bid for trustee. There are many issues facing small communities like ours, the largest which is funding. Like most small government entities across the state, we have seen dramatic decrease in revenue from state and county funding sources. We saw a phase out of the tangible personal property tax, the elimination of the estate tax, reductions in the Montgomery County Partnership Pool Fund, which helps us fund our road improvements, and the local government fund. As a conservative-minded leader, I am committed to being fiscally responsible and making wise financial decisions for the residents of our township to help offset those losses in revenue that we have come to realize. As an administrator to Miami Valley CTC, one of my responsibilities on a daily basis is to identify ways to improve the efficiency of our day-to-day operations, and then to develop and implement solutions. To date, I've streamlined several aspects of our operation that have resulted in a much more efficient use of both staff and resources. I have brought this same mindset to the township in my role as a trustee. Since joining the board, I've worked closely with staff to improve the efficiency of everyday operations at our township offices by overhauling the communication systems, used by our staff and in the township offices, and by directing the upgrade of a technology system used by our police department. I've also spearheaded efforts to bring many of the processes and forms used by township staff and officials up to date and into compliance, reducing our exposure to potential liability. I also continue to support the excellent working relationship our staff have developed with other small government entities, most notably Perry Township, that have given rise to cost-saving measures through shared resources. From a funding standpoint, I've worked closely with the trustees to acquire grants from the Ohio Public Works Commission to fund the recent improvements on roadways, Pansing, and Pleasant Plain. And from a safety standpoint, I've worked with my fellow trustees to secure additional emergency warning sirens to provide greater coverage of our residents in the event of hazardous weather or other emergency situations. Having been raised on a small farm in northern Darke County and having been involved in teaching our youth about agriculture for most of my career, I realize the vital role that agriculture plays in small rural communities like ours. With that being said, I am also committed to the continuation of controlled growth in our township, to preserve our agricultural land and to maintain a rural lifestyle as we see it today. My promise to you is that I will continue to implement cost-saving measures, look for ways to improve the efficiency of the operation, and seek out new revenue sources so that we are able to continue to provide quality services while maintaining a low tax burden on our residents. I would appreciate your support on November the 7th so that I may continue working for you, the residents of Clay Township. Thank you very much for your time.
Manfred Schreier.
My name is Manfred Schreier. I'm running for Perry Township trustee. Most people are here to talk about politics and policy. I'm here to talk about people. When my wife and I graduated college, we didn't search for a place to settle and raise a family based on the politics or the policies. We chose a place based on people. The best police, the best teachers, the best people are the reason why we chose Perry Township. So although we aren't lifers, and we're kind of seen as an outsider sometimes, we chose Perry Township. It's no secret that I don't have any political experience. Sometimes I don't even have a lot of experience being politically correct. But I do have professional experience, fact-based experience, based on my schooling as a mechanical engineer from the University of Cincinnati and from previous Fortune 500 engineering positions, which ultimately led my wife and I to start and operate Schreier Outfitters, which some of you may not know, but we did the shirts for the Brookville picnic and the Officer Down 5K run. We also own and operate Longhorn Fab Shop, which is a global manufacturer for high-performance truck parts, side-by-side off-road parts, and a world-class service facility right here in Perry Township. Those are all great career achievements, but how does that equate to being a Perry Township trustee? When we put a little perspective around Perry Township and the size of its budget. I manage projects a lot for companies that some of you may have heard of: Duke Energy, Toyota, Parker Hannifin, and most recently KitchenAid. So if we do a little bit of a comparison of total budgets, imagine you're an engineer, and most of you feel like your life just got a lot more boring. But stick with me through this, and imagine Perry Township budget is a machine, a single machine. So now you're an engineer, and you're responsible for doing these engineering things to this Perry Township machine that's already up and running. It has police, it has fire, it has roads, and it already has a place, and it's running. You just have to manage it, keep it running, make sure it gets its updates and needs for future business conditions and volumes. Should be pretty simple. Now imagine your boss wants 3 more machines or townships, one at the end of each year for 3 years. None of which have a police force, road department, or anything else. He just tells you, here's the land, we expect this many people in 1 year, and this many more in 3 years. And he demands you provide a budget that's going to get the job done and equipment that's going to last, and then takes that number and cuts it in half. His expectations don't change, but your budget does. That's my reality of working for these Fortune 500 companies. They're large projects where a single machine purchase is larger than the entire Perry Township budget. Failure to do so wasn't a matter of putting out more signs at the next election or trying to smooth it over in the next couple years. The repercussions were at the best demotion and at the worst termination. This level of professionalism needed to carry out the demands of my previous career and the career I have now for Longhorn Fab Shop are the same demands you should have of your trustees and for your family in this township. That's a little insight on my past, but most exciting part is the current time and the future. There's a small town outside of Perry Township called Piermont. For those of you who haven't heard, my wife and I bought the old Brighton Mills facility out there that had been vacant for some time, the old grain elevator. We remodeled it with loving support of the community and friends, and we moved our business out there and hired 2 more employees. Something we're excited about, but it also gets much more exciting. Our small building in the small town of Piermont, with just a few employees at Longhorn Fab Shop, is providing world-class truck repairs in the service department, and on the manufacturing department, we're bringing back jobs from China right back to Perry Township in Piermont. This isn't by luck or by accident. This is because of amazing, hardworking people that work for us and the support of people in this community. People that want to spend more time encouraging success instead of undermining it. People that are ready to tell the story of the successes of their neighbors instead of whispering under their breath when things just aren't perfect. This is the beginning. We want to see more businesses and farmers take a stand. A stand that we aren't just small Perry Township, just a speck on a map, that we're impacting the people around us and being progressive in how we run our businesses, how we manage our farms, how we buy the products and services that we all use, and most importantly, how we treat each other. It's not just enough to be successful or a well-managed township. We want to be a tribe, a group that depends on each other's skills, not only to survive, but to flourish, long-term, both economically and socially. A high tide raises all ships. When we encourage and help each other, whether it's the pat on the back, or a job well done, or an ear to listen to when things go bleak, I ask for your vote, and together we can raise all ships.
Kim Wilder.
Well, good evening. I would like to first thank everyone for coming out on this gorgeous night. I also want to thank the Brookville Chamber of Commerce for organizing this meet and greet. We all kind of feel like guinea pigs since this is the first one. And also thank Brookville Local Schools. I realize everyone is very busy. However, tonight's speakers will be shaping our future. So I appreciate that everyone has made their time to come out here and visit with us tonight. I think it's fantastic that we get to bring everyone together, and I'm honored to be asked to be a part of this. So my name is Kim Wilder, and I'm running for Brookville City Council. My family and I chose to live here in Brookville 12 years ago. We moved when my youngest son was just 2 weeks old. We have Andrew, he's a freshman here at Brookville, and we have Caleb, he's a 6th grader here. Andrew's in the band, you might have heard them practicing earlier. They have their final competition this weekend. And Caleb is a soccer player and loves to sing, so we'll see what the future holds for him. John and I chose to call Brookville home when we realized how great the schools were and how great Brookville was. We love the small town feel, and we hope to keep it that way. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting, and I'm currently the treasurer of the Brookville Band Association. I work full-time at Huber Heights City Schools in the Curriculum and Instruction Department as administrative assistant, and I've enjoyed that thoroughly. My family and I are often out and about, either at a soccer game or at a band contest. We attend church here in Brookville, and we also have a new friend at our house, Zephyr. We adopted a retired racing greyhound 2 years ago this coming election day. I'm sure some of you have seen me out walking him. He has not met a stranger yet. So Albert Einstein had a quote, "In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity." After the income tax credit reduction debacle last year, I feel that we are in the midst of difficulty. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our opportunity to make some positive changes for the city of Brookville. For those of you that know me well, I try to always find the positive in all things. Although I never saw myself running for office, I've learned a great deal along the way. I've chosen to run for Brookville City Council because I want you to all have a voice in matters involving our city. My signs say running for you, and that is exactly what I'm doing. I will listen to what you have to say and try to keep everyone aware of what's going on. We're all busy, and I understand that. With 2 young sons and their activities, coupled with my husband John and I both working full-time on different schedules, I have a good understanding of what a life that doesn't slow down looks like. I realize that not everyone can attend every meeting while trying to work, raise a family, and attend multiple activities for that family. Just this past week, and even tonight, I needed to be in multiple places at one time. We've all been there. Perhaps by placing a video of the meetings online, more people can be aware of what's going on. More people can watch the videos on their own time. More citizens can be made aware of everything going on in their community and not hear about it second or third hand. Last month, while I was filling out candidate questionnaires for area newspapers, I made a suggestion that the reports and items that city council members see during the meetings be made available to the public to view as well. If I understood Mr. Burkholder correctly in the last city council meeting, this will soon become a reality. I applaud the city for doing this. I think it's a huge step in the right direction of transparency. But let's not stop there. Let's continue to make changes that will allow the citizens to stay informed with what is going on with their tax dollars. They deserve to know, and they deserve to know in a timely manner. If elected, this will be one of my goals to give the tools that busy families like mine need to stay informed and up to date. Citizens deserve to be informed of what is going on in our city, what is being discussed in the council meetings, and how their tax dollars are being spent. I look forward to meeting many of you later. I would like to thank everyone again for your support through this campaign. As I said, I have learned a great deal, and I hope to represent you as the Brookville City Council member. Thank you.
Jerry Letner.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Meet the candidates tonight. I think it's a great idea. I had actually brought it up several meetings ago that I thought it'd be great for everybody to be able to get a chance to meet the candidates and understand kind of what they're about and where they're from. So I applaud the Chamber of Commerce for making this happen. I just want to give a quick introduction about myself. My name is Jerry Letner. I don't have to give my address, I don't think. I'm married to Andrea Letner, also a graduate of Brookville. I have one daughter, Tori. A stepdaughter, Madison Fletcher, was Madison Myers a couple weeks ago or a month ago, and Cameron Finnefrock. A little bit about myself. I am a lifelong resident of Brookville, 56 years. So I can do some quick math and spare you later on that I did 6 years in the Navy, so I was gone, so that's still 50 years I've been a resident here. Started at Westbrook Elementary School. Matter of fact, this auditorium was named after, in my opinion, one of the best administrators that the school system has ever seen. That was Ruth Ann Strasburg. Still thinking about her to this day. Went to the old Brookville Middle School, graduated from Brookville High School in 1980. I do have an associate's degree in business administration. My work history, I don't know if I need to go all the way back to where I was a teenager, but I worked at Timberlane's Bowling Alley a little bit. My father was also a manager there for a couple of years. Worked at Woody's Market for a school year down there in West Carrollton. Is no longer there. Price Brothers Company, they actually had made some sewer pipe catch basins around Dayton. I worked at a plant there in Florida right after high school. Kind of lost interest and thought I was cut out for a little bit more. Joined the Navy, as I said earlier, had spent 6 years, 2 years reserve. Also worked at Souder Concrete for 9 years when I got out of the Navy. Like Kurt, I had started at the Imes Company. He started long before I did, but I started there in 95, and Procter & Gamble had bought us, and I've been with Procter & Gamble for 22 and a half years. Currently in a corporate quality assurance position. Much exposure and dealings with the federal regulators and state regulators as well. A little about my Brookville history. As I said, I've been a lifelong resident. Did a lot of concrete work on the side, many people's driveways, patios, you name it. I've done it here for 35 years. Umpired a little bit at BBC as a little contribution, helped work on the concession stand back in the day. A lot of the shelters out there, sidewalks leading to them, I was a part of getting those. Worked a booth at the picnic several years for Marshall Pretzels at Brad Good's place. And I've also had two brothers, Chuck, who's currently a council member, and an older brother, Jeff. They had both owned Napa, the old Napa store at one time or another for quite a few years in duration. Personality traits, I would like to say I wish I had a lot of Kim's traits to think positive out of something negative, but I just cannot seem to do it at this age. I believe if something's negative, it's negative and needs corrected. I can't turn my head and act like it didn't happen or it doesn't exist. So I'm straightforward, open and honest most of the time. A very hard driven. I am results oriented. And I do love sports, activities around town. I love staying active to whatever capacity that is. I think some of my biggest concerns for Brookville, I could spend 10 minutes and couldn't say it better than James did. I was very frustrated about the way that took place last year with the tax credit, because I do work out of town. It's an hour and 20 minutes one way to my job every morning that I get there at 7. So I was very disappointed to learn that I was going to have to pay an extra percent because I worked out of town when I know there's not an abundance of 80,000 to six-figure salary jobs here in Brookville for many of us to choose from. While I do believe the infrastructure, and I would like to add that I've only probably missed 5 or 6 council meetings out of the last 3.5 years, and I've taken notes at every one of them and compared to what was actually recorded and put on the website. I do believe the infrastructure does need a lot of work, but I will say, even as a child on Crosswell Avenue, that they were fixing water main breaks back then, and it's the same water lines in there. So it's not like something that just came up 2-3 years ago. It's been going on for a long time. It does need fixed. I don't know how we're going to pay for it. This is a reason why I want to run. I want to understand the inner workings of how these decisions are made, who's making them, where all these grants are come from. To me, it feels like from the outside looking in that there's a ton of money that we're getting in grants, and I'm assuming that we don't have to, to pay it back. I hope that's not true, but I do have an ambition to revive the downtown to what it once was. It was lined with businesses on both sides of the street. It's been abandoned. Oh, wow. Hey, I hope for your vote, man.
Jeff Reckler.
I'm almost afraid to touch it, so maybe I should. Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Reckworth. I'm running for Clay Township trustee. I've lived in Clay Township almost 20 years on about 8 acres off of Brookville, Phillipsburg Road. When we first bought it, it was kind of run down, and we've worked very hard to fix it up. I live there with my wife Kathy, my sons Nicholas and Nathan. I also have a daughter Sarah who lives in West Ellick, who grew up there, and she lives in West Ellick with her husband and her daughter, my new granddaughter Olivia. I work for Brookville Local Schools as Director of Support Personnel. I'm a U.S. Army veteran and very proud to be. Former Mayor of Lewisburg, 10 plus years. I'm a member of the Ridge Church, AMVETS Post 1789 Brookville, VFW Post in Brookville, Masonic Lodge in Brookville. I'm a board member for the Brookville Area Chamber of Commerce, and I was not involved in the planning of this. They made me leave. I represent the schools on that board, and I'm also on the Clay Township Board of Zoning Appeals. If elected, I will look at our resources and our services that we provide to make sure we are getting all we can with what we have available. I will first look at any grants and programs from state, local, federal, and private sources that would fit our needs, and which the current Clay Township trustees are doing. I believe that we can work together with our neighboring communities and explore how we can share services. I do not have a long resume as some who are serving, but I have learned over 13 plus years in municipal government and 8 years in my present job with budgets and the importance of solid budgeting and long-range planning, not necessarily our wants, but our needs. I understand that these monies, no matter whether they come from local taxes or grants, someone worked hard to provide those funds. There is no free money. I am hardworking and consider myself a servant leader. I will not ask anybody to do anything I would not do myself. I am running to serve the township residents and to be involved in keeping Clay Township strong and efficient, to make life here as safe and comfortable as possible. There are many good and caring people in this area. Let us embrace the good and be good neighbors to one another. So at the end of the day, what do you want a township trustee to be? I would like to think that everyone would want someone who works for everyone, takes time to listen, and takes care of not only the big issues, but the small things. One who does not overthink and will dig in and get their hands dirty. Thank you for attending tonight. Not the best of nights. We actually had some snow flurries this morning, but there's no chance of a delay at school. Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event, and thanks for the school for providing this fine venue. I would appreciate your vote on November 7th, but remember, no matter how you vote, it is important and a duty to vote. Thank you.
I do promise every name is in here. Coming down to the last three here. Ronald Price.
I'm glad you said that. I was beginning to wonder if they were there or not. My name's Ronald Price, and I'm seeking the office of Perry Township trustee. A little bit about me: I've owned and successfully operated R.K. Price Residential Inspections for over 25 years. I've got 4 years of college, and I have an EPA first responder status from Cleveland State University. I've been a general contractor for over 25 years. I was a pipe fitter for General Motors, that's an industrial plumber, for 20 years before I retired from there. I owned and successfully operated my own farm for over 10 years. And I was a therapist and a counselor for 5 years. I'm not a politician. I have no political history. I just have opinions. I've attended meetings of the trustees in Perry Township for about the last year. I've seen inappropriate and overspending of our tax dollars, and I really feel like that we should use readily available monies that we already have for any of the spending that we have, and I will try to use these resources to provide solutions in the most economical, efficient, and expedient manners for long-term efficacy. Frequently, reparations are a viable solution as opposed to tearing down and building new structures. It is my goal to stop raising taxes and flagrant spending. I realize the necessity for fairness in the community and the necessity of putting the residents of the township first and foremost in all areas. I will respect and uphold the wishes of Perry Township residents and be of maximum service to them. If I'm elected, my goal is to be of maximum service to my God, my family, and the residents of Perry Township. If I'm not elected, it's my goal to be of maximum service to God, my family, and Perry Township residents. I want to stimulate interest and participation of all of our residents to utilize their many valuable assets and talents. I will strive to make this a safe and secure community to raise family and retire affordably and happily. Overspending and inappropriate spending of our tax dollars is one of our target issues. If elected, I won't allow motions for flagrant spending to go through the channels to become law or precedents for law. I won't treat grant money as if it were a free lunch, realizing that grant money comes from our tax dollars. Less reliance on state money means less rising taxes at the state level as well. As a farming community, I propose no new taxes, especially land usage taxes. As a farm community, the primary concern is to protect and preserve the sovereignty of the farmer. I consider proposing new tax credits for businesses as well. I plan to take a solemn oath to uphold policies and all conditions that accompany the office of trustee of Perry Township. I've spent my lifetime serving my God, my country, my family, my friends, my employees, my employers, and my neighbors. I've had many successes and learned from my mistakes. I experienced much in life and have a lot of valuable knowledge to lend to the betterment of the community. My wife and I moved to this area from the suburbs. It was about 7 years ago. We bought an old rundown house out on Little Richmond Road. We totally remodeled that house and brought it up to be a beautiful little home. We planted 180 trees. We built facilities for our hobbies. People visit to get away and slow down and relax. Our children and grandchildren come to experience love, peace, and serenity. We're extremely blessed and happy. We built a home from a house. We intend to continue to share and live out our days right here.
Melissa Mears.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Missy Mears, and I'm running for Perry Township trustee. My interest in running for trustee began after attending the meetings for almost a year. While attending the meetings, it came to my attention that there were several issues I felt that needed addressed. Having lived in Perry Township for over 50-plus years and having raised 2 children, one who still lives in our township along with my 3 beautiful grandchildren, I saw an opportunity to be able to represent the the residents of the township. After retiring from CTC with 31 years in the public sector, I have experience working with the public. I have been on the following committees throughout my career at CTC: our Administrative Advisory Committee, co-person for Senior Recognition, and Committee for Staff in Service. Also, I served on the committee for the First Responders statue at Gateway Park and donated the statue in memory of my father, Joe Wakefield. My family has been involved with 4-H and FFA since my father was the president of his chapter in 1951. I have helped our children, along with other young children who are involved in 4-H and FFA. I have learned from being on these committees to listen to others, to work as a team, and I've learned about our youth and our agriculture and their importance to our community. These are some of the reasons that I feel I would have a positive impact as your trustee. I have never ran for a political office, but I feel now is the time. As I feel it is time to bring our township to the 21st century. What I have found is that we have no website giving the public access to our township minutes. We have no point person looking for grants. Each department does this on their own. No township administrator. And wouldn't it be easier to go to a website, find the guidelines for our zoning laws instead of having to stop into the administration building? Also, how often is our surplus items being sold on govdeals.com? And wouldn't you, as a resident, like to know how much money is going into each department's budget? And last, how do we give pay increases to our employees without evaluations? These are also some of the items that I would like to look into to make changes. I will be present and ready to work for the residents of the township. I am ready for the challenges of this position. Working together as a team is important to me. We all must be willing to come together to make our township the best it can be. If this means I go to the office and cover for someone, that's what I'm going to do. The most important issue is utilizing taxpayers' money wisely. We need to make the issues regarding funding are being handled correctly. We should all work within our financial means and use common sense. Updating our equipment and supply services are ongoing projects that require everyone's attention and work. Being a small township, we have to watch what monies is spent and do this wisely. We all work for the residents of Perry Township, from the trustees, the police department, the zoning department, and road and cemetery department. We are employed by you, the residents. As a small township, we are a farming community, and we have several farmland preservation farms. This is a program that farmland is used for education and enjoyment of future generations. And without this in place, we won't have any farms left. We have several small businesses coming to our township, and we need to make sure that they fit with our community and following our guidelines. With the small businesses coming to our township, I feel that they need our support. While campaigning for trustee, I have talked to several residents, and I have found that they have the same concerns that I'd have. I have encouraged all residents to attend the township meetings and make your concerns known. If you don't attend and voice your concerns, we don't know. This is why I'm running for trustee. I want to make our residents know that they have a trustee that will be working with them. I would also like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for organizing this event, and please stop and see me afterwards so I can introduce myself to you. Thank you.
And last but not least, Stephen Crane. See, you already know.
Wow, I never thought I'd be last. Good evening, business and community leaders, citizens, friends, and fellow candidates. My name is Stephen Crane, and I am seeking to serve the citizens of Brookville as a member of City Council. I want to first say thank you to the Brookville Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event and Brookville Schools for allowing us to use their facilities. Since this is a Meet the Candidate night, a bit about myself. I graduated from Ohio Northern University in 1993 and have worked as a pharmacist in Indiana and Ohio since then. I have been employed as a pharmacist at Good Samaritan Hospital for 15 years. My wife Kristen and I have lived in Brookville since 2002 and truly enjoy living here. We enjoy the small town atmosphere. We value its close proximity to Dayton and the surrounding areas. In recent years, my family has lived in Brookville, including my parents who are residents in Brookhaven. While this will be my first public office, I am an active member of the Brookville Citizens Group. I am proud of this group's accomplishments and value the experience it has gained me. This group, as you all know, was instrumental in repealing the Brookville income tax credit reduction, as well as adding 2 amendments to the city charter, instituting term limits for city council and limiting the use of emergency legislation for taxation and zoning purposes. If elected, I will continue efforts to improve transparency among the city council, city management, and Brookville citizens. Currently, the justification behind proposed capital improvements isn't being effectively communicated to citizens. When improvements are needed, it is important to minimize costs and to engage citizens in decisions making. Examples of these projects funded by council include the Market Street Extension, the Wolf Creek Lodge at Golden Gate Park, the upcoming Arlington Road Bridge replacement, and the recently discussed water tower. City council needs to be held more accountable for how your tax dollars are spent. Brookville residents would benefit if Brookville was marketed for economic expansion while keeping the small town atmosphere intact. While we have seen modest gains in storefront businesses on Market Street, we have not been able to attract the medium and large employers we are well positioned to attract. Economic expansion from larger employers would provide jobs as well as offset some of the tax burden. It is time for us to make a change in leadership, ensure the voices of Brookville citizens guide decisions, and all decisions are fiscally responsible. If elected to council, my top priority would be to refine a plan for capital improvements that is developed in partnership with the citizens of Brookville. We need a clear plan going forward. With the repeal of the tax credit reduction and new leadership on city council, citizens will once again have a voice in deciding where taxpayer money is spent. I intend to keep Brookville affordable and safe, but grow and expand responsibly. I look forward to having the opportunity to represent the citizens of Brookville and hope that you will choose to allow me to represent you. Thank you.
So I want to thank everybody who came out tonight, including our candidates. We'll give you guys a couple minutes to head out to your tables. If we can have everybody else stay seated for just a minute, I got a couple things to discuss real quick, giving them a little bit of time to get out that direction. So they'll be out there for a period of time that you can have some question and answers with them about who they are and what they plan to